So Dan, ahead of tomorrow's big Youth Cup game against Bradford City, we'll firstly talk about the Youth Cup run so far. It's been a pretty positive run. How do you assess the journey so far?
Yeah, a really positive one. I think one that the boys are fully invested in. I think sometimes on the paper the results look like they've been fairly straightforward. That hasn't always felt the case. I think there's been some moments of jeopardy, some little bumps in the road, some obstacles to deal with in games. We've had a few different venues. So yeah, no, I think like really varied, really valued experiences for the boys. I guess it's a different challenge in each round that you've had so far. Would you say that through each round the level of the opponent has progressively increased as they've gone and you've had to raise your game? Yeah, I think probably regardless of level of opponent, I think the boys have performed really well in every game. I don't think there's been any kind of where they've gone, we've had to go through the levels yet. I think they've performed really well across the board. But yeah, the opponents have been good. I think even the Bradford game, where I think when you look at the score in isolation, it looks like a fairly one-sided game. I think what we probably forget is that Cam White saved a penalty in the first 5 minutes, and if that goes in, that looks like a different game. Probably feels like a different game in the night. So no, I think there've been moments of jeopardy in all of the games. I think there've been some very good opposition with some really good performances from us. From your perspective as head of youth, what does the FA Youth Cup mean to the players and the academy as a whole? I think certainly when they get into the youth team, I think there's that's the one. That's the one they're desperate to perform in. I think there's that kind of realisation when they're in it, and I think certainly now when we've had a little bit of a run in it, I think the lads are so invested in it. It means the world to them. It's all the talk about, but not just the what ifs. And I think probably the perception is that what if we get through? What does it look like? They're talking about the game. They're so focused on what they're doing and why. It matters to them. It really matters to them. And as a young player to play in sort of a national competition like this, how big is that? Huge. I think it's always really enlightening when you're talking about professionals who've had huge careers. Listening to them when you talk to them about their FA Youth Cup, they can all remember what their FA Youth Cup journeys were, regardless of what level they've played. Premier League players, they can all tell you what their FA Youth Cup journey looked like. It's important to everyone who kicks on and has a career. It's a milestone, it's a marker, it's learning for them. So yeah, it's so important for everyone. And Wednesday will be the first time that a York City Academy side has played here at the LNER Community Stadium. For you, Tim, and the group, how special is that? Yeah, really nice. I think when we look back at FA Youth Cup games in the past, even Academy Cup games, the ones at Bootham really stick in the memory. Penalty shootout wins, you can really remember those games. I think playing at your home ground's always there's always a sense of pride with that. I think there've been so many local boys in this under-18s team. It's the most local group we've ever had. So yeah, I think that'd be really nice for them as well, that they get to represent the club that they all really care about, they're really proud to represent, and they get to do it at the LNER is massive for them. And playing this kind of environment, can that elevate the performance as well? I hope so. I think players are always running on adrenaline. I think they'll get that, and they'll certainly get a boost of adrenaline before they go. And I think you've got to use that as your motivation. You've got to ride it. You've got to play focused. So yeah, hopefully they can contain their emotional stuff, but use it to drive the performance on. What are you expecting from your opponents, Bradford, tomorrow? Good football team. A really good football team. They've got some really talented players. They've got some really good threats, and they try and play some really, really good football. We're going to be looking at two teams out there that both want to look after the ball, both want to try and dominate the ball. They both carry significant threats going forward. So yeah, I'm expecting a fairly exciting game. How much research have you been able to do in Bradford, and what's the preparation been looking like? Yeah, the coaches have done a lot. They've been reaching out to different people, trying to get footage, trying to get insights, who might play where the strengths are, what might we need to combat, what areas of the pitch might we be able to gain an advantage in. So yeah, Tim's been doing a lot of work in the background on that, and been sharing that with the academy staff at the training ground in terms of what we're looking for, why we're looking for it, and why we're going to play the way we're playing for this game. And from a wider perspective, how big is this game for sort of building that sort of bridge from the academy to the first team? Yeah, massive. I think even little markers like the opportunity to play at the LNER in front of a few hundred, hopefully quite a few hundred, is massive for the boys. I think it's potentially a daunting experience the first time they come into a first team game. The first time they play a game of the LNER, it's a first team game in front of 7,000 or 8,000. That's quite complex. There's a lot of stuff going on there where if they've done it a couple of times before, they've got a little bit of used to the environment. I've been on this pitch before, I've played well on this pitch before. All those little markers go in their favour when hopefully we do get some first team debuts in the future.
And we'll speak on that as well, because Ethan Stiver involved in a matchday squad and Eddie Kettlewell as well, not only involved in first team squads but also made his debut in the National League. Yeah. How proud are you of them, and what message does that send to the rest of the group? Yeah,
it's huge for the boys. I think Eddie's been here since he was 10 or 11 years old. He's been through our programme. We've looked after him. He's had some fairly complex injuries. He's been supported by the medical staff. So I think Eddie getting to that point's a huge win for Eddie first and foremost. He's put the hard work in, but a massive win for a lot of staff behind the scenes. The amount of staff that have worked with Eddie over the years that have reached out to pass on congratulations and things has been really nice to see. But yeah, it's the motivation that if you do well, you get opportunities, and that's, I think, all any young player, all any academy system would ever ask for. If we can develop players to the right level, can they get an opportunity? And clearly the answer is yes. And with tomorrow's game being held here at the LNER, you're obviously trying to get as many people here as possible. What's your message to those who maybe haven't seen the academy play before and might maybe thinking of going to the game? I think it's always an opportunity to just come and see what could be next for your football club. We promise to try and play an entertaining brand of football. Fingers crossed we have many goals for us especially, like we've had in the last few rounds. But there's some fantastic young players taking massive amounts of pride in playing for the football club. I think every bit of support they can get would be both appreciated and deserved. So yeah, it'd be really great to have a lot of people here tomorrow.
And finally, obviously, we don't want to speak too much on this, but Crystal Palace are the winners. How have you been able to sort of strike the balance between acknowledging that incentive and staying fully focused on Bradford?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I've not spent any time around the boys since that announcement's been kind of made. But certainly Tim has. Tim's kind of said he's not really heard much about it. The boys have been pretty focused, they've been pretty reliable. We realise that Bradford's a huge test. So there's not really much point in getting excited about Crystal Palace and taking your eye off Bradford, or we ain't getting there. So yeah, I'll focus on Bradford, and we can worry about Crystal Palace if we do all the right things tomorrow night and a bit of luck goes our way.